Everyone, my name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor, and welcome to my channel. As today we are reviewing Ready to Love, Season 5, Episode 13, Reunion Part 1. So before we get into it, of course, be sure to subscribe to the channel as I have some great stuff coming up for the year and don't want you to miss it. And of course, like the video as well. So let's get into it. The episode starts with Nephew Tommy announcing that he had COVID. And I hope that, I know this is pre-recorded, so I'm sure he has recovered well, but definitely hoping that things have gone well with him and his family. And then we have a new host, Tanika Ray. And so the reunion kind of annoys me just because it wasn't like done chronologically. Like it starts off with introducing Sydney and Sean, who show up in the middle of the season. So that part was kind of, it just didn't make sense. But hey, I'm not the producer of this show. I just review the show. Uh, Analyze it for us to learn and grow from it, right? So it starts off with Sean and his very short stint on the show, as it was kind of rocky, and how he felt pressure to find love where it wasn't there. I truly feel like Sean is a artsy kind of guy, quiet, quirky, thinker, and this show kind of calls for like movers and shakers, kind of personalities. And so I really just feel like this group wasn't his tribe, and so, he talked about being thankful that he was no longer on the show. And Sabrina apologized for her friends being, pretty harsh towards him. And he even stated that she did initially apologize when he left that day, and he doesn't feel any ill will, towards her. And then we see Sydney and her journey through the show with her connections with Frank and Phil, and how she, of course, chose Phil at the end. She stated that she was more attracted to, a calm and quiet kind of guy. And that was, what Phil, his energy was, and that's what drew her to him. And Phil stated that, she just was very different, and their connections and how they talked, made him get to know her more. It still sounds pretty kind of almost shallow. The connection just doesn't seem like it's truly a deep, genuine connection, that they're still much in the like and infatuation stage, which is fine. They are dating exclusively, but the host asked if they were engaged. I'm like, this is moving way too fast. I feel like they definitely need to date off camera for them to truly get to know who they are. As anybody on the show is going to present, a representative of themselves, because they are thinking about how the world is going to see them. And so they need to get to know each other, who they truly are off camera, before they even decide if they're going to continue in a relationship, let alone get engaged or married. That's a life-lasting commitment. And so let's take our time. Let's take our time. So next we go to Camille as the center, and the focus, of course, is Camille and Cornelius. They should be called Cornelius. As they are attached by the hip, okay? So through the footage, we get to see Camille's many facial expressions, which to me, shows that she just has, she definitely has a theatrical flair to things, right? And at the same time, it is a very kind of young behavior, where, I think she could use her words. Like, she could use her words to say, hey, I know that Cornelius and I are connected, but I really don't want him voted off. But she was eye rolling and, doing the neck movements and all of that. It read very, very young, and so we then get to know some new people that we didn't know were on the show. As she says that she has, Olivia and Shay Shay are parts of her. Olivia is her emotional part, and Shay Shay's her firecracker part. And I do believe that we all have different parts to our personality. We all have parts of us that show up in different places in our lives, and also when we're in different situations. And at the same time, I feel that Camille is using these parts to not take accountability for how she shows up in the world, which is also what's happening as we continue to watch this episode. Right? So she says she's gone through therapy, and Shay Shay and Olivia are gone. I don't know about that. Camille blames editing and her being in a theater major for being viewed or perceived as possessive, and even states that she's not possessive, she's just a sarcastic person. And I have to disagree. She did not give Cornelius the permission to go through this, and it's very clear. It's very clear. Next, we see Tyrone and Carrie, and how that situation unfolded, where he used the word aggressive to dismiss her, saying that she was aggressive when she was saying, like, I like you. And she said, hey, I just did the same thing Shiloh did. I gave you my number, and she gave you her number. I'm not aggressive. I don't, I don't like that word. And Tyrone readdressed it, and he stated that he didn't use the best words to communicate what he was feeling, and really felt that there was nothing wrong with Carrie. It's just that he liked someone else more than he liked her. And so it was really great to see that he took accountability and readdressed it, and 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 Carrie received it. Also, it came out that Shiloh did not or could not make it on the show. I feel, now I don't have any evidence of this, but I feel potentially that Shiloh did not want to be in a space where she had to rehash and continue to fight for what was her experience. And I completely respect that and understand it. So that's that. Going back to Carrie and Tyrone, Tanika, the host, then talks about the word aggressive and how Black women, being labeled aggressive when it is not accurate can be hurtful, because we are typically, there is the stereotype of the angry Black woman, right? And so I think that's a deeper conversation. I'm interested to hear your thoughts about that. I think there's a lot of ways that Black women have to be protective, and or yes, have to be protective. They don't have a choice. They have to be protective. And there are some ways that it's not, the protective energy isn't necessary. And we'll see that as we continue to walk through this episode. So the next they talk about Cornelius and his many connections, which was just one. Camille, because she did not allow him to have any connections, but he said, hey, I got a chance to know these women. I got a chance to get to know them, even though they may not have felt that I did. And that, I know what I want, and it doesn't take me all day to find out what I want. And, I think sometimes we, as humans, we sometimes can use a narrative to explain something and to protect ourselves from the truth of what's happening. I think that Cornelius is definitely wanting to protect his relationship with Camille, and at the same time protecting himself from the fact that he allowed a woman, well, it's not even the fact that she's a woman, he allowed someone else to dictate how he went through this process. That's a hard truth. That's a hard truth. And so I think that this is what's happening here with Cornelius. And then we go to Courtney, who, stated that she didn't allow Camille's behavior, her aggressive behavior, her bullying behavior, to stop her from going after Cornelius. She said, I'm going to pursue him. I don't see any issue with it, so I'm going to pursue him. And Camille took offense to that, and saying that the aggressive word. And remember, we just had this conversation about aggressive, and at the same time, I believe the behavior was aggressive. It may not have been her intent. I think her intent was to keep people away from Cornelius because of her insecurities, and not choosing to allow Cornelius to go to the process to date other women, to see and get clarity for himself, to know who he wanted to be in a relationship with. And so then Tanika, the host, asks the rest of the women, so hey, do you guys still agree that Cornelius is not ready to love? And Aisha says, hey, it's not that he wasn't ready to love. It wasn't that he was a bad guy or that he didn't make a connection. It's that he didn't go through the process. And that's the issue. He didn't go through the process of it and making multiple connections. And Sabrina said that he feels like he has regrets, and which he stated during the show. He felt like he had regrets about not going through the process, about not connecting with other people, and then felt like he had to be cautious about when Sydney came on the show because he didn't want to get in trouble. So these were words that he stated, while filming the show. So that's that. Tanika then mentions, well, hey, Zadia got a pass to talk to Cornelius. What's up with that? And it's mentioned about the Brown Girl Squad and how maybe that's a reason why Zadia got the pass. And I will say this: the behavior that is displayed after this is heartbreaking. It's truly heartbreaking. Colorism is a real thing in our world. It's a sad thing that it's still happening. It's still affecting us centuries later, and we see that. I believe that Sadia and Camille, women of a darker hue like Sadia and Camille, have experienced a lot of painful words being thrown their way because of their darker hue, and they connected through that and used that as a way to inflict that same pain on women who look very similar to them, just a little lighter, which is, it's just sad. So Zadia did not take accountability and say, we're not going to say that we, separated ourselves, which they did. And Sabrina became very upset, because they're not taking responsibility. Basically what she's saying is, what you experienced from me wasn't real. And that is definitely something that's infuriating, because not taking accountability is basically saying that you're lying and what you believe, what you experienced wasn't true. And Sabrina saying, no, you did some very mean and hurtful things, and began to call her mean and nasty. And Zadia walked off as to not, again, sit in the seat of accountability and take ownership for how her behavior affected someone else. Next, we see Frank and his journey through the show with Sydney and Mumin. He chooses Mumin, ending the finale by saying, I truly feel extremely confident with this decision that I've made. And then we get to the reunion, and Tanika says, okay, so how have things been? And Mumin begins to talk, and Frank says, be honest. And I wish that Frank could take his own advice. I wish Frank could take his own advice. Yes, be honest. Mumin says nothing happened. It went nowhere. And Frank begins to do what Frank has done through this season. Begin to use words that I don't know. I don't know where they come from. So he says, okay, I passionately care for this woman. And I'm like, if you passionately cared for this woman, why didn't your actions line up with your passion for her? He said this process has taken a toll on him, which I'm sure it has taken a toll on everybody who's gone through it. And then Courtney says from the back, just be honest, Frank. And that is it. Just be honest. Use your own advice. You told Mumina to be honest. You also be honest. So then he gives something that's a little bit more true by saying, he said a lot of things didn't add up about their relationship, which they didn't. He's a bartender, a nightlife kind of guy, and Mumin is a gospel singer who is celibate. He's saying that he is hypersexual, which I again truly believe that it just means he has a high sex drive. And so really connecting together is just not going to work. It's not going to work. And I think there's a way that he could say that by saying, hey, I really wanted to be with Sydney. She chose Phil. And so, I'm caught in a situation where, I'm thinking about our lifestyles and they don't match up. But I think he was too caught up with trying to end the show with someone versus truly being honest with Mumina and honoring her feelings. And so she talks about how, you said that we were moving too fast, but nothing happened. You need to be careful about your words and how you can lead on someone. And no, that may not have been his intent, but it happened. It happened. And I think Mumi needs to truly also be curious about this and see where she herself made some missteps, because she said several of the women told her that Frank was not ready. Several. And I understand you wanting to make your own decision, independent of what other people say. And at the same time, I feel that Mumi needs to develop some more discernment about what she needs to see in order to know if a man is truly ready. Because Corey was not ready. Frank is not ready. For sure. Next. Whew, Lord. So next, we talk about the retreat. The retreat. And the huge explosion between Zadia, Camille, and Aisha. And Naeem starts off the discussion by saying that the women were jealous and more concerned about being friends because the men chose Zadia as their number one earlier in the season, and that's why they have this issue with Zadia. And I think we're at a place where we are, again, trying to create a narrative to protect ourselves from the truth. There are two truths that Naeem needs to be aware of. One is that Zadia's number one was Dante. And to see her get so heated about that and then just choose him, I mean, that's something that Naeem has to kind of grapple with to see, like, is Zadia really interested in you? Or is this, again, about the show? Is this about the show? The second, Zadia's aggressive behavior. It's happened multiple times. And it's going to happen if it's an arrangement or a relationship they have, it's going to happen. It's going to show up. He's going to see it, and he's going to have to sit in the reality of Zadia. So that's that. Tanika asked Zadia, if she felt some type of way about Dante choosing Aisha. She says no, but I believe there truly has to be a part of her that feels some type of way. Maybe she's trying, save face and not want to let Dante know that he hurt her, right? But she has to feel some type of way about that. But Aisha provides clarity. She said, hey, Naeem, that was a nice story, but no, that's not what happened. What really happened is that Camille threatened us if we put Cornelius on the chopping block. That's what happened. And then Camille denies it. She denies that she said these things, and that the editing, and that they took her voice and put somebody else's voice, and look at my lips. So production shows it over and over again, and a zoom in on her lips, and then she says, well, hey, well, no, I said that to Zadia. They're, again, the editing, not taking accountability, for what she did and how she's showing up in this process. It's not a good look, because Camille is in her 40s. Not to say that you should reach an age of perfection, but you should definitely be in this place you should definitely be in a place where you're an adult and you're taking accountability for what you do. I messed up. I apologize. I don't know what happened. Let me get curious about why did I, instead of saying, hey, you guys want to vote off Cornelius, I get it, we booed up, he's not really connected with anybody else, I'll just leave. Why didn't I do that? Why did I threaten violence on people? Why did I do that? I wonder what was happening for me that I showed up like this. That's the question she needs to ask herself. That's what needs to be happening. But instead, she didn't. And poor Tasia, we find out, as she walks off, that her mother's in the hospital, but she's frustrated because it's like, we are too grown to be doing this. I'm worried about my mother and her health, and we're talking about something that actually happened, and you're denying it. What is going on? The show ends, and as we have part 2 coming up next week, and we'll just see how this continues to unfold. I'm truly curious about how you guys feel about this conversation about aggressive and how it's used during this episode, and also about just clear communication, how we have seen through this season with Phil, with Frank, with Corey, how telling people the truth can be painful, but at the same time, being dishonest and making someone believe something that in the moment makes them happy, but then in the long run is dishonest, is an even bigger offense. Let me know your thoughts on this. Thank you guys so much for watching. As you know that we will be reviewing next week's part 2, and also the next season that's coming up, season 6. Oh Lord, next at the end of this month. So thank you guys so much for watching. You guys take care, stay blessed, and peace.